Avatar and Fire and Ash is no longer just the next chapter in a blockbuster franchise. It has evolved into a defining moment for modern cinema, for performance capture acting, and for the idea of what longevity in Hollywood can truly look like. This film is not simply about returning to Pandora. It's about pushing storytelling, technology, and emotional depth further than the franchise has ever dared before. And standing at the very center of that evolution is Sigourney Weaver, a woman whose career helped shape science fiction history, now doing something that feels almost unheard of, convincingly embodying a teenage character with raw emotional truth, decades after the industry typically sidelines actors from its boldest creative risks. This moment carries weight because it arrives after years of anticipation. The Avatar franchise has always existed under intense scrutiny, every sequel burdened with expectations not just to succeed, but to redefine cinema all over again. Fire and Ash enters that pressure cooker and makes a clear statement. This story is no longer only about visual spectacle or world building. It's about emotional consequence. It's about identity, loss, inner conflict, and transformation. Pandora, once portrayed as a place of balance and wonder, now feels volatile, fractured, and unpredictable, a reflection of the characters navigating it. Within that shifting landscape, Kiri becomes more than a supporting character. She becomes the emotional compass of the film. Through her eyes, the audience experiences confusion, awe, fear, and deep empathy. She isn't the loudest presence in the room, but she's the one whose emotional reactions linger the longest. That is where Sigourney Weaver's performance becomes quietly revolutionary. Kiri is not written as a traditional hero, and that is intentional. She doesn't dominate scenes with power or authority. She doesn't rush toward conflict. Instead, she absorbs it. She feels everything deeply, often without the language to explain those feelings. She listens more than she speaks, observes more than she acts, and carries an emotional sensitivity that feels almost dangerous in a world becoming increasingly hostile. Playing that kind of teenager isn't about acting young on the surface. It's about remembering what it feels like to experience the world before emotional armor forms. Teenagers react before they rationalize. They feel intensely without fully understanding why. They live in a constant state of emotional openness where joy, fear, embarrassment, and wonder coexist all at once. Weaver brings that emotional immediacy into every frame, and it's why Kiri never feels artificial. What makes this performance even more compelling is how openly Weaver has discussed the emotional excavation required to play Kiri. She has spoken about reconnecting with parts of herself most adults leave behind: the awkwardness, the insecurity, the feeling of not fully belonging, the quiet sense that you are different without knowing exactly how. Rather than distancing herself from those memories, she embraced them. She allowed them to inform the character. That choice gives Kiri an emotional honesty that audiences immediately recognize, even if they can't quite articulate why. The physical demands of the role matched the emotional intensity. Fire and Ash required extensive performance capture work, including underwater scenes, complex movement choreography, and sequences that depended entirely on subtle shifts in expression. Weaver trained alongside cast members decades younger than her, committing fully to the same rigorous preparation. She didn't ask for shortcuts. She didn't pull back. She immersed herself completely in the process. Crew members have described a noticeable transformation once she stepped into the performance capture space. Her posture changed. Her movements became lighter, more instinctive. Her reactions felt spontaneous rather than calculated. It wasn't about pretending to be young. It was about emotionally becoming young. That shift didn't come from technology. It came from craft. Director James Cameron has spoken about witnessing this transformation with admiration. According to him, the moment cameras started rolling, Weaver's age ceased to matter. What he saw was an actor fully present, fully vulnerable, and completely in sync with her character. That kind of performance can't be manufactured in post-production. It's driven by emotional intelligence, trust, and total commitment. As Avatar and Fire and Ash unfolds, Kiri's journey deepens and darkens. The introduction of the Ash People, a clan forged by fire, loss, and survival, pushes the story into morally complex territory. These are not simple villains or heroes. They represent rage born from pain, strength shaped by suffering, and in their presence, Kiri is forced to confront emotions she doesn't yet know how to process: anger, grief, fear, and a growing awareness of her own role within Pandora's spiritual fabric. The film explores heavy themes: the cost of survival, the inheritance of trauma, and the tension between compassion and conflict. Kiri becomes a quiet mirror for all of it. She doesn't always understand what she's feeling, but she feels it deeply. She internalizes the world's fractures and responds emotionally rather than strategically. That humanity grounds the film, even as the scale grows larger and darker.
Audience reaction has been immediate and intense. Viewers across social platforms have latched onto Kiri as one of the most emotionally authentic portrayals of a teenager in a major franchise. Many have noted how refreshing it is to see a young character written without caricature. No forced sarcasm, no performative rebellion, no exaggerated angst. Kiri's emotions feel earned. They come from confusion, empathy, and a desire to understand her place in a world that keeps shifting beneath her feet. Longtime fans of Sigourney Weaver are experiencing something deeper as well. There's a quiet satisfaction in watching an actress known for strength, authority, and resilience now explore softness, vulnerability, and uncertainty. There are subtle echoes of her earlier roles, moments of defiance, flashes of inner strength, but they never feel like nostalgia bait. They feel like the natural evolution of an artist who has always excelled at grounding extraordinary circumstances in emotional reality. Fire and Ash itself represents a tonal turning point for the Avatar saga. The landscapes are harsher, the choices are heavier, the consequences are more personal. This is no longer a story solely about harmony and beauty. It's about imbalance, responsibility, and the emotional cost of conflict. In that context, Kiri's sensitivity becomes essential. She represents what is at stake beneath the spectacle, the inner lives affected by every decision, every battle, every loss. Critically, the film has sparked passionate discussion. While visual innovation remains a hallmark of the franchise, many conversations now center on character depth, emotional pacing, and thematic ambition. Some viewers find Fire and Ash more challenging, less comforting than previous installments, but that discomfort appears intentional. The film doesn't aim to reassure, it aims to confront, and Weaver's performance is central to that shift. Beyond the screen, a larger cultural conversation is unfolding. Sigourney Weaver's role challenges deeply ingrained assumptions about age, relevance, and opportunity in Hollywood. At a time when meaningful roles for older actresses remain limited, she has delivered one of the most emotionally demanding performances in a major franchise by playing younger, not older. It's a powerful inversion of industry norms, and it's impossible to ignore. What makes this even more impactful is Weaver's own perspective. She doesn't frame the role as a comeback or a statement. She speaks about it with curiosity and gratitude. She has described the experience as liberating, a chance to explore emotion without expectation, to let go of labels and simply feel. For her, Kiri isn't about age. She's about emotional openness. This philosophy resonates strongly in an era increasingly shaped by digital performance, artificial intelligence, and virtual actors. Weaver's work stands as a reminder that technology can enhance a performance, but it cannot replace emotional truth. Every hesitation, every pause, every flicker of feeling comes from lived experience. The digital Navi body may be rendered by computers, but the soul of Kiri is unmistakably human. Younger audiences see themselves in Kiri's sensitivity and uncertainty. Older viewers witness a masterclass in reinvention. That rare cross-generational connection is helping Fire and Ash transcend traditional franchise hype and become something more lasting. As speculation grows about the future of the Avatar saga, one thing feels certain: Kiri's journey is far from complete. Fire and Ash positions her as a crucial emotional and spiritual figure within the larger story. She may not yet understand her purpose, and that uncertainty is exactly what makes her compelling. Sigourney Weaver's performance does not feel like an endpoint. It feels like a beginning, a reminder that creative daring doesn't fade with age, that emotional exploration has no expiration date, and that some of the boldest artistic choices come later, not earlier, in a career. Avatar, Fire, and Ash isn't just expanding a cinematic universe, it's expanding the conversation around performance, vulnerability, and emotional truth. And at the heart of that conversation stands Sigourney Weaver, proving once again that the most powerful performances don't come from spectacle alone, but from empathy, curiosity, and the courage to feel deeply. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.